Dludla. I will talk about my transformation. It happened at Lifeline. I was a person who was a prisoner of herself. I was caught on the words that was used on my childhood. You know what? Words are so very powerful that can destroy and also to build. You can name a child Rose, whereas your child just looks like a spinach. But that child, each and every time she look at herself, she will be smiling because she is seeing a rose. Yeah. One day my friend told me about Lifeline. You know, what was amazing on this thing of my prisoner, I was amazed because other people, they were not seeing the way I was seeing myself. They were seeing a comforter, a friend. But it doesn't even change me the way I feel about myself. But one day my friend told me about Lifeline. Lifeline is about personal growth. It's about counseling skill. So I started to take myself on a personal growth. The magic happened. I started to forgive my parents. I started to forgive myself. I started to know, okay, on this part, my parents failed at this point. So I'm not a failure. So I started to be proud of myself. When I was my life continue at Lifeline, I learned that to do a mistake, it's okay. Yes, I made a mistake, but I'm not a mistake. When my life continues, I ended up to facilitate at Lifeline. It's where I learned that love is love. The way I learn love is love is whereby I had a group of different race, culture, where there was a white people. Often, I was getting so impatient about the white people because on this group they will talk about their dogs, their pets, and the money that they spent. So I started to be irritated. Whereas sometimes I get difficult on finances for my human children. But I've learned, that was my lesson on that journey, to learn that love is love. No matter it's a love of an animal, a love of a human being, but love is love. I started to change the way I am to my community. It's where I learned that I accept them the way they are. I started to care because I felt as if there's a big sellotape that was removed in my mouth and also in my heart. And when I started to walk, I was always telling myself that I'm building my own future. I'm not a prisoner anymore. I started even on my children. It's whereby that I started to learn that my children, I can love them. I cannot repeat the pattern of my parents, or my community. I understand that we all fall, but what is important is, what do you do when you fall? Are you rise up and feel shamed about yourself? Are you rise up and shout? So I've learned that each and every time I take a step, my life, there's no one who can live my life. I'm responsible for my life. I've learned a lot at Lifeline. If you want to add something.
Sure, thank you, Nomphelo. My name is Sharon, and I just want to stand behind this thing because I've spent most of my life married to a minister, and he gets to stand behind one of these things all the time. And I feel quite powerful to stand behind this tonight. What do you say? I can have a moment? Just a moment. How many minutes have I got left? Sure. I am the counselling manager with Lifeline Childline Western Cape, and one of the things that we have is we have a lot of psych students coming to do community outreach with our organisation, but also for them to get practical experience in the counselling field. And one of my roles as counselling manager is because many of our volunteer counsellors want to apply for masters. And so one of the things that I do is become a referee for them as they apply for masters. And something that always strikes me and these things take a lot of time, and they bribe me really, really well. That's why I sat and I saw that slab of chocolate and I thought, surely that must be for me. Because I've become accustomed to people bribing me to do things for them. But one of the things that nearly all of the universities ask for is about personality functioning and whether or not the candidates have got really good self-awareness. And then they use big words. Are they able to look at the events of their life and see how these events of their life have shaped and formed them, and are they able to discuss this or understand this in a psychological way? I think, sure, these are really, really big words, and sometimes I'm really not sure what the full meaning of them is. I had a man call me on Monday, and he said, Mrs. Reid, I want to set up counselling. I'm the HR manager for this company, and I've discovered that what happens in people's personal lives has an effect on their work. I thought, Imagine having that realization. But I was really proud of him that he did realize that, because that had come quite a long way. And I did ask him, how was it that he realized this, the importance of this? And he shared some of his story with me, and then I said, well, just out of matter of interest, how is it that generally the employees feel about being able to come for counselling? And he says, oh no, that's a problem. So I said, what's the problem? He says that generally people feel that if they come for counselling, then there's something wrong with them. And if there's something wrong with them, they certainly don't want me as HR to know about that, because then maybe I won't trust them in the work environment. And he wanted us to come and give a talk about really how brave it is to seek counselling. And I thought a lot about this in preparing for tonight, and my goodness, guys, thank you. Tonight my mind has been stretched and broadened. But the thing that I thought about is that our forefather Freud, how he used to sit behind, well, he called them patients, I like to call them clients, but he would sit behind his patients so that no transference or counter-transference could happen, because we don't want our story to be mixed up with our client's story. And oh, I like the sound of me with this microphone. Okay, I'll try to come back. But the thing that I really, really believe, and in the middle of all that has been said tonight, I believe, and sometimes when I hear myself say this, I feel like it borders on the mystical, and that has been brought up quite a lot tonight in the conversations that we've been a part of, and I believe that when I can be fully present, me, Sharon Reid, when I can be fully present to the person that comes to me. And fully present means I know where I hurt, and I know where I carry guilt. I know where my sorrows are, but I also know where I'm flippin' fabulous. If all that is who I am can be fully present for 5 minutes with the person that comes to me for healing, that in itself already starts off the healing process. We had a meeting the other night because people have shared stuff about them, and the lady that asked me to come to speak says I'm supposed to share something about me, so this is my story. We were having a meeting, and it was all about how can I allow myself to be vulnerable with the people that come to me to bear witness to their story. And I shared something, and it was one of our young psychology students, and she said, "Sure, Sharon." She says, "How old are you?" So I told her how old I am. She says, she went like this. She says, "Do you mean that by the time I'm as old as you are, that it's still going to be really hard for me to be vulnerable, and I'm still going to have to be looking at all these areas of my life that are unfinished?" And in that moment I wanted to call her sweetheart, and I thought, but that might be a bit patronizing. So I did know her name, and I said her name, and I said, well, if I'm the example of what you're asking, then absolutely. And I believe that as counselors in the connecting with people, it's a philosophy, it's who we are, and we need to be growth-oriented people. And to allow ourselves to be open. Certainly tonight I've been open, and I've learned a lot of new stuff, so watch out. Counsellors at Lifeline, I'm going to integrate some of it. But I just want to say, to wrap up, and what everybody has spoken about tonight is we are the gift. Each one of us that bears witness to the story of somebody else. And I've been privileged to watch Nomphelo, my colleague, for her journey and the journey of us all, to remember that I am the gift to the person that comes to me. And the more I can be fully myself, the more I'm open, because I believe, and my experience has taught me, that the places that I cannot go to in my own self are the stories that are going to come at me, and I'm not going to be able to sit with that because I'm too scared or I'm unaware to look at these issues in my own life. Thank you very much. Thank you. Our country is an incredibly hurting country, and thank you to everybody that just believes in us and believes in transformation and healing. We got a lot of work to do.